Okay, hey guys, welcome to Solving One-Step Equations. These are your notes. You can put these in your binder. So what we're going to be doing today is I've got 4 lessons. I'm going to break them down into 4 different parts, and you'll have a worksheet with each section. So if you need the hole puncher or anything like that, the stapler, we can make that happen after we take these notes. Okay, so the first thing is that this is the beginning of part of your step equations for pre-algebra. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be locating the variable in each one of these sections, and we're going to be undoing everything that it tells us to do. So the way that we do that is when we solve for an equation, we use inverse operations. You've probably heard of that property before. The word inverse is similar to the word opposite. So we're always going to be doing the opposite of whatever they're telling us to do in the problem. So addition and subtraction are inverse functions. That means that they are the opposite of each other, and likewise multiplication and division are also inverse of each other. Okay, the inverse of addition is, you would guess it, subtraction. So everywhere we see addition in this, we're going to undo it, and we're going to perform subtraction. So the first thing when we solve, now most of these you're going to be able just to do in your head, but I don't want you to do them in your head. I want you to actually do the steps out and show your work, because later on when you get into algebra, you're not going to be able to do some of that stuff in your head. Okay, so if you know the steps, you'll be able to do it all the time. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to locate this variable. Your variable is always the letter. Okay, it's the unknown. So that variable, we're going to locate it. I'm putting an arrow above mine. And then that tells us what side of the equation to start on. So obviously here's the equal sign. The equation is, the variable is over here. So we're going to start on this side of the equation. I always have a lot of students say, which side do I start on? Do I take away 12 or do I take away 7? You always start on the side that the variable is sitting on. Okay? So we locate it, then we cover it up. We just leave it alone. Anything that's attached to it later, whether it's a multiplication, like a negative sign, like a -1 or a -2, anything that's on top of that or below it, like a division, like x divided by 2, you're just going to leave that alone. What it's telling you to do is to take x and add 7 to it. So we're going to perform the inverse, and we're going to subtract that number. And in math, whatever you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other. Okay? So that's our first step. And really all we got to do now is just bring this down, because this is going to cancel. 7 minus 7 is just 0, so we don't have to write that down. Equals, and then 12 minus 7 is 5. And we're done. That's our answer. This right here means that in this equation, x can only be one number to make this whole thing true. X has to be 5, because if I plug 5 back in, 5 plus 7 does equal 12. And that's what we're going to do over here. We're going to check it. So what we're going to do is we're going to just write down our original equation. Okay? Then wherever you see x, you're going to plug that in. I usually will put parentheses around it just so that I know that that's what I plugged in later on. I want to know, does this side equal this side? And the answer is yes. Okay, so 5 plus 7 does equal 12. So if you get these two numbers here and they equal each other, then it checks out. If you get something else over here, let's say we got the answer 4, and we plugged in 4 right here. 4 plus 7 is 11. So when I wrote down 11 here, that does not equal 12. So I would have done something wrong, and I can know that I can go back and do it again. Okay, so now that we got the explanation out of the way, let's go ahead and just do one pretty quickly. So I've got to locate my variable. Okay, I cover it up. Now over here, what is this sign that's in front of this 10? If there's no sign in front of there, I can put a positive sign. So then I just leave this alone. Okay, this positive goes to that z, so I leave this alone, and then I come over here and I do this first. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Okay, this cancels, leaving me with z equals 2 minus 10, which is just 2. So that's my answer. Let's go ahead and check it. So I'm going to write down my equation. Oops, this is a 10. Plus z equals 12. I'm going to plug in my 2. So I've got plus 2. Does that side equal 12? Well, yeah, we can totally see that it does. So it checks out. Okay? 2 more. Now we've got some division. I'm going to go ahead and refocus this. It looks a little blurry to me. Okay, same thing. Just because it's got decimals, don't let it confuse you. You're going to locate that variable. Leave all of this alone. Okay, so you come over here. There's an invisible plus sign. It's telling me to add to m. I'm going to subtract from m. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Okay, so now this cancels, and I'm left with m equals, now I can go ahead and subtract this out. So 4 minus 3 is 1, 8 minus 6, or 2 is 6. Put my decimal there, and then I've got 5 minus 2 is 3. And again, just write down your equation. So for each problem on your homework, I want you to do it this way. I want you to show your work. I don't want you to do the stuff in your head. I know you can. Everybody can. Well, hopefully. But some of the stuff you can't. You might not be able to. But later on, I promise you, you're going to encounter problems that you're not going to be able to do in your head. Okay, so this is a plus m. We leave that alone. This is a positive 2 right there, 2.23. We subtract it. Okay, this cancels. I'm left with m equals, and this is going to be, is that the same problem? Yes, it is. I'm doing the same problem. What am I doing? Why didn't you tell me? All I need to do, Mrs. Hutchison, is check this. We don't need to do this. We just did this. Goodness gracious. I just like one-step equations. Okay. So, this is my equation. I'm going to substitute my answer, which is right here, 3.61. And I'm going to put that in parentheses and then add it to 2.23. Okay, I want to know, does that equal this number over here? Okay, and so when I do that, 2.23, and I add 3.61, that's going to be 4, that's going to be 8, and that's going to be 5. And that does equal this right here. So 5.84 does equal 5.84. And we're done. Okay, so last problem. Here's my variable. Leave it alone. I come over here. This is a invisible plus sign, so I subtract it because we're doing the inverse. Bring down my h. This cancels, and then I'm left with 100. Okay, so from here, come over here and you put your formula over here. Substitute that answer that you got, and we can already see that 50 plus 100 does equal 150. And again, if you get a different answer than what is over here, then you've done something wrong and you need to go back over it. Okay? So hopefully you can see this is part 1 of solving one-step equations. We're going to go ahead and do the next one in a minute, and that one is going to be part 2. And that is going to be this worksheet right here. So you can get that ready for next time. It should be in your binder, and you can ask for the worksheet.